So guys, this is another system that we installed in the Midlands. Currently there's 10 panels on the roof, 4.35 kilowatts. That's the size of the system. It's currently generating 89%, which is 3.87 kilowatts. Okay, so the house is consuming 3.7. That system is producing 3.8, which is it's the off-grid line.
And when that house, so it's consuming 3.7, it's producing 3.8, what happens to that 0.1? Can they sell that and make profit?
Yeah, that'll go back. Either two options. So he has a battery installed here. So the battery will take that 100 watts or 2 or 3 or whatever is being discharged. Rather than go back to the grid, it'll go into the battery. If the battery's full, then it lets it back to the ESB network through the meter that's there, and the meter calibrates what's going back, and then he's credited for that. So currently, if he wasn't in the house at the moment, and he was using nothing, it was generating 3,800 watts, he could potentially be sending all that back to the grid, getting credited, you know, maybe 30 cent a kilowatt multiplied by 3, €1.20 an hour from the ESB network, you know.
And so the battery stores the spare energy, and then obviously you can use it then and maybe a rainy day.
Yeah, so the battery is also used as a buffer. Okay, so this is important. So if the system is generating, say, 3,800, say 3,500 watts, and the 5.3 kilowatt battery is full, and he's using, say, 4,000 watts, well then 500 of them, that watts from the battery, will be released into the house to compensate for his usage. So the system is quite smart to keep you off grid as much as it can. Then when he's not using that power and he's still, you know, producing it, what happens is it will refill that battery again in a healthy way.
And you say this is a 4.3 kilowatt system. What does that actually mean? Is that the maximum it can generate, or what is it?
It can't go any higher than that. So currently now he's generating 4.1 kilowatts right now. It's just overcast. So there is a delay on the apps as well. So he could potentially be producing probably half that now because it's shadow and it's overcast. So another thing I want to say to you about the angle. So if you see the angle of this roof compared to the next, in the summer months he would generate more than the guy next to him, and the guy next to him would generate more in the winter than he would, and that's just the angle of the roof. There would be a whole pile, but there would be a small slight difference in the wattage, you know.
Yeah, so the pitch of the roof then affects the amount of power it can generate. Okay. Did you do them panels as well? There's panels to the left of the ones you...
No, that's a glycol system, so that's an antifreeze unit, but it's been in there quite some time, because it's an older kit, an older unit. They are quite heavy. A lot of systems that would have been put in back in early 2000, you know, 2012, 14, it really kind of stopped that stage. But they're filled with what's called antifreeze, and there's a pump station then beside the cylinder. The antifreeze then heats up from sunlight and heats up the cylinder, and then the cycle, the cylinder robs the heat from the roof, cools down the antifreeze then go back up onto the roof to be reheated again, and that cycle continues all day. The issue with those systems is that the cylinder can get very hot, and when you're consistently heating the cylinder and the glycol is not cooling down, it kind of get unstable at that stage. So we don't really sign off on them anymore, or any engineer won't sign off on them. They're 30% response. That's 70. So that'll work for your immersion. That won't. Do you know what I mean? So it's a far more healthier way, because they need to be serviced once every 4 to 5 years. Otherwise, the glycol goes it goes like tar, and that needs to be removed and replaced. You got to get a plumber to do that, but that works on current. So currently, the system there right now would heat 2 immersions actively.
And then, so obviously they need to be replaced every 5 years. What about your panels? How long will they last you for?
I don't know, 30 years.
30 years.
30 years, yeah.
Okay. You're saying this is a 4.3 kilowatt system. What does 4.3 kilowatts get you? Does that run everything in the house when it's at full power?
It could. I think that's non-element. your kettle will be an element, your cooker will be an element. Anything that's high power. So most cookers in houses are 2.4 or 2.8 kilowatts. So 6 of those panels will run a cooker flat out. But like, you know, you can't really gauge what you're asking there, because that's the weather's so unstable. You know, we don't know what the weather's going to be like in 10 minutes time, 20 minutes time. The fact that it's able to produce that per hour, whatever it's going to produce is going to consume within the house. So you're not buying it from the grid. And any sort, whether it's 2 panels or 22 panels, if you're producing your own energy, you're not buying it from the grid, it makes sense to actually do it. There's cost obviously involved in it, you know. But the system, and I'll always, you know, highlight this, needs to be uniquely designed. The job cards are done by me all the time. So I can't blame anyone if there's mistakes. You know, you can't. So my job is to go out and actually, you know, build the materials, see what's involved, cable routes, and then hand them job cards to my guys to go out and install it. I think the more important thing is that the client needs to know what's going on as well. So the client needs to know, one, the panels, why they're going on there, what needs to be done with them, the cable routes, what activity is going to cause within the house, disruption is going to cause in the house. There's a list of things that come with it. So when people ask you for a quote, and most people do over the phone, you can't answer that. You need to actually go out and actually find what you're looking for, what you're looking at, what type of material you're putting in there, because there's various different stuff.
So you're saying it's very hard to give a quote over the phone for solar panels. If someone did want to get information off you or meet up with you and get an estimate or a price for getting solar panels, what could they do?
Look, once we have the ear code and we have an idea of what the house actually looks like, I've done thousands of systems, and I've installed for various different companies as well. So I'm familiar to what products would need, or what system you would need on particular houses. So we can give them an idea of a cost. It's not 100%, but you could get it probably accurately down between whatever figure they're looking at, depending on the size of the system. So once I have the ear code, I can actually measure the roof from Google Earth and give them an idea of a cost at that stage. But to finalise it and get it accurate, you need to do a site survey and a risk assessment. The risk assessment would be in turn for what's involved for the safety of the guys. So I have an obligation to land safety here as well. So I need to see what's involved. I need heights, ladders, scaffolding, you know, and there's a list of stuff that needs to be involved.